Now, for those of you who do not like the painstaking task of loading it over top like this, or have a hard time doing this without jabbing at the bow or your arm guard, if you haven't seen my other tutorials, or if you haven't seen Armin Hirmer's videos, here's what you should do for the Mediterranean draw. Is you hold it by the knock with the thumb and either your index or middle finger. I use the middle because I have more control over it, and also so that way when I load it, the index is already on top. I don't have to make any adjustments. So you slide it over the string. The thumb and the knock stay in place. You keep that pinch. See that? You keep that pinch on the knock. The thumb and the knock go over the string while the three fingers go underneath. And then you pull it back. And see there, when you use the middle finger for the pinch, then your index is already there. And all it has to do is just drop down and land on the knock. And then you're ready to draw. Alright, so I'm going to try this to see what happens. So what I'm going to do is have the tiny little space between these two fingers at the back corner of my jaw. Because when you tilt the bow, then the arrow won't be pointing to the left or anything like that. It'll even it out a little bit. Not bad. Not bad, I have to say. But, yeah. But yes, there's still the habit of hitting yourself by accident on the release. You want to make sure that you're opening your fingers all the way, very cleanly, because one thing that can hinder your shot is if you open your fingers but not all the way. If your end result has your fingers still partially tense like this, if it's like this or something like that, then that can hinder the direction that the string is trying to go in, and that can mess up your shot. Speaking from experience here, so you want to make sure that they're open all the way. And that's why I don't use this type of draw very much, because when I did that with the Slavic before, I ended up slapping myself in the face a lot. But I feel like I've practiced with the Slavic enough where I can break this habit if this proves more effective. But this is an experiment. Alright? Just like my previous speed shooting videos, tutorial. This is just an experiment and nothing else. And I was out here a while ago doing this, and that's why it occurred to me to do a video. So that's why I'm out here. I've only had these things in my head for a while, a short while. So this is me testing it out. That's the last Cabela's arrow that I have. And so that's why I don't have my quiver with me either. Because if something goes wrong, I don't want to lose any of my new arrows. They didn't have any of these arrows on the Cabela's website anymore, I guess because of the pandemic holding things up. So I had to order a different type of arrow, a different brand. And so I got 2 6-packs of those, and I've been using all of these up. I lost a bunch of them. I lost 2 or 3 of them recently, and broke one the other day by hitting it. So yeah, I hit that arrow, but at least they were touching. They were in a V. So when you see things like that happening, you're doing pretty well as far as aiming. You know, your accuracy is getting better, your consistency is getting better when you've got arrows touching. Even if it takes you about 1 billion tries, just the feat of getting 2 arrows touching or an inch or so apart on the target from whatever distance is really good, okay? So now this time what I'm gonna do is let my hand fall back. Normally I don't do this because of uncertainty of what direction my hand can go in if I let it fall back. So when you do that, if you do that instead of keeping your hand static, my advice is to keep it gentle and slow. Alright, that was much better, actually. And so yeah, when you have it under such tension and you're pulling, especially when you pull back to the jaw, you're adding a lot more power to the shot. And thus, it's gonna deliver a lot more impact when you release. And so it can be easy to end up hitting yourself in the mouth by accident when you're using this anchor point, or drawing to your ear, for example, like we see in some historical manuscripts and such. Alright, so that was better. I'll probably give that a try the next time I decide to bring my target out, but I'll have to see what happens. I think doing this, what I'm going to do is keep practicing the Slavic and the Mediterranean with the corner of my jaw as an anchor and see how it goes. And like I said, it's just one arrow that I've got left of this length and spine and fletching and all that. The other arrows that I ordered and haven't used yet are longer, the fletching is longer, and so, and since they're brand new and I haven't used them yet, haven't gotten used to them yet, I didn't want to do an experiment video using those. It's better to do something like that with arrows that are more expendable. Like when you are down to your last 2 or 3 of a certain style, a certain model. So like this being my last Cabela's arrow, I can use this for experimenting with things like this, because if I lose it or something, well then okay, that's it, then I'll just switch to my new arrows. But still, that being said, I didn't want to use my target for it. Wanted to use the sand mound because that way it may not, even if my shots aren't perfect, at least that way I'm not missing to the point where the arrow just goes around or over the target altogether and burrows itself in the grass. Because it was raining a while ago, and so if I were practicing over there by our garage, straight at the target like I usually do, instead of up against the sand mound where the arrow just pokes out like a porcupine quill, if I missed the target bag, the arrow would just burrow itself into the grass and I wouldn't be able to find it. Because that's what's happened these last few attempts. These last few times that I've lost arrows is because I was doing these methods that I'm showing you in this video, and I wasn't used to them yet. And since I wasn't used to them yet, my shots were thrown off, they weren't very good, and so they missed the bag and just burrowed into the grass. Now, I did manage to find most of them when it came to that, but I usually just go out with 3 arrows. Because one, that's kind of the standard. In Saracen archery, it says that the big standard is being able to shoot 3 arrows in a second and a half. I can't do that. I'd love to be able to do that. I can't yet, but maybe someday when I'm 30 or something. If I keep practicing with the Slavic, maybe I'll be able to do it, but not now. I'm working up to it. I'm working up to what draw works, and thus what anchor to use for the amount of power needed to get the shot right. Alright. So yeah, that's it from me for today. Stay safe, and if you have a bow and live in the countryside like I do, where you're relatively safe from the pandemic, I encourage you to go outside on your target and try each of these. You know, see what works best for you, because there's so many different styles that a lot of things can work out for you. And I don't have a thumb guard, a thumb release, or anything like that, so I just used this hardware glove for practicing the thumb draw, and it's covering all my fingers, so I can use the Slavic with it too, even though I prefer using my shooting glove since it's reinforced. But yeah, because I'm practicing with the thumb draw, I use this hardware glove. So if you have one of those just laying around the house, just grab one of those. You don't really need to go online and purchase a thumb ring that will probably fall right off your hand. You know, just get a hardware glove, and yeah, you can just use that, because then you've got all 5 fingers, so you can practice this, and you can practice this, and also this.